Contentment can feel like a warm, juicy hug on a chilly winter's day. Wrapped up in a hug of contentment is a feeling of safety, ease, a calm sense of happiness, and a deep inner knowing that all is as it should be. All is well. Unfortunately, in our fast-paced, goal-driven world, this feeling of contentment often gets bypassed. Which is no surprise given the onslaught of messages we get telling us we need more social media followers, more likes, a bigger house, a fancier car, a better qualification, more cred, or some new fang-jangled gadget that was released all of 2 seconds ago. We get so stuck on needing to achieve this, get that, do more, be there, that we lose touch with the here and now. We lose our natural inclination towards contentment. Today on I Love Me, the podcast, we discover why it really is sexy to live from a place of inner contentment.
Love, 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 I love me.
Simple, inspiring lessons in self-love. Hello, gorgeous. It's Tamra here. And today we're talking about contentment. Because if there's anything we want to cultivate on our self-loving path, it's contentment. Now, I know contentment isn't as fashionable these days as perhaps happiness or even enlightenment is. Contentment as a state of being doesn't quite seem to get the same attention or sound quite so fancy or extravagant. Maybe it even sounds a little boring, like it's not really worthy of our time and energy. Well, contentment may not be high on your list of values of priorities, but in my experience, contentment is where the gold is. For contentment is at the root of happiness. It's at the root of our overall well-being. It's the magical inner peace that allows us the freedom to feel good as we go about life, regardless of what's going on out there, and to create the things we feel so inspired to create. Yes, when we are content with who we are and what we have, then we have it all. What I'm saying is that when we can open ourselves up to feeling content, then there's no longer any need to strive, do, or get more. We feel content with what we have, with who we are, with where we're at. In this way, contentment is a form of deep acceptance of oneself and one's life. And that's a pretty sexy part of self-love, right? So let's break it down. The Oxford Online Dictionary defines contentment as a state of peaceful happiness. We can further expand on this by saying that contentment is a state of being satisfied with what one has and where one is in life. It's where we find peace and fulfillment in the present moment, rather than constantly striving for more or feeling discontented with one's circumstances. Those who experience contentment are able to experience joy and satisfaction in simple pleasures. Now, this doesn't mean that they're not out in the world creating waves, or that they are. What it simply expresses is that they're able to pour their focus and attention into what feels authentic for them and know that is enough. That it is what it is without needing to judge it. When we can come from this contented place, we're no longer consumed by the pursuit of material wealth or external validation. Instead, we focus on cultivating meaningful relationships, pursuing personal growth, and experiencing happiness in moment-by-moment everyday experiences. A person who is content is not stagnant or playing small. In fact, it's usually the opposite. A person who feels content can follow their inspiration from a more authentic place because they're not doing things to get a pat on the back or win accolades. They're doing them because they feel right. and they're following their unique path in a way that allows them to see and tap into the abundance around them. You see, when we long for more, we're adopting thinking patterns based on scarcity. And as you probably know, like attracts like. Feel like there's something missing in your life, and that's what you're creating with your beliefs, with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. If we're always seeking more without being grateful for what we have, we will always feel something is lacking. It's a vicious cycle like that. But if we can be grateful for all we are and all we have, that creates a very different belief system that leads us to approach life in a very different way, a way that allows us to attract more of the good stuff. This is where feeling content is one of our best manifesting tools. In this way, contentment is not the place we arrive when we've ticked off our wish list for life. Contentment is a way of walking through life as we create our dream life. Yes, we can be content now as opposed to waiting until we achieve our next milestone. We can fall in love with the journey as opposed to needing the end result to give us a particular feeling, which in my experience is only ever fleeting anyway. And this was certainly the experience for me. In my 20s and even in my 30s, I had these things I really wanted in life. Win a radio award, write a book, own a Mustang, marry a gorgeous, sexy musician, have a baby, live in France. These were big on my to-do list. And by the time I hit 40, I'd tick them all off. What followed was a couple of years of feeling a little lost, a little not sure where to put my energy, even though I had plenty of places to put my energy. Why? Because I hadn't developed this feeling of inner contentment. It was being on a path to a particular goal and then achieving that goal that was drip feeding me doses of happiness. But I wasn't sustaining this deep down inner feeling of contentment that would allow me to feel at peace regardless of where I was and where I was heading. That's when I knew I needed to change my approach. I needed to start living more in the now just because, seeking out the joy in the moment of being where I am right now and cherishing that. Now, just because we're finding joy and contentment in the here and now doesn't mean we can't be working towards something. It simply means that we're enjoying the ride, feeling grateful for where we are, knowing that regardless of where we are whole and complete and life is perfect. And that any results we get from what we put our attention into doesn't change who we are. Achieving certain goals in life doesn't make us better than someone else. It simply offers us a deeper breadth of experience. The important thing to understand here is that when we decide to feel content, we're not settling for less or giving up on our dreams. Contentment is about finding peace and satisfaction in the present moment, appreciating the twists and turns of the journey that we're on, and understanding that happiness isn't tied to acquiring more or getting specific results. So, why do we want to embrace this idea of being content? Firstly, because it helps us stress less. Seriously, contentment is like a stress-busting elixir. When we're content, we're not constantly fretting about what we don't have or haven't yet achieved. We're free from that constant pressure of trying to keep up with the Joneses or the Smiths or the people next door with their fancy 3-story mansion complete with sexy butler and Olympic-sized pool. When we reduce our stress levels, it's easier to maintain a healthy mental state. Contentment has been shown to significantly reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression because it encourages us to focus on the positives in our life. In this way, contentment serves as an anchor amid the turbulent seas of life. It gives us stable footing so we can stay centered and calm despite what might be going on around us. And because we're able to not get swept up in a pool of emotions that external circumstances can rain down upon us, we're more resilient and better able to navigate challenges with grace and perspective. So not only do we feel better, we're healthier. Yes, contentment improves our physical health. Scientifically speaking, numerous studies have demonstrated the significant mental and physical benefits of contentment. Those with contentment and happiness were shown to have stronger immune responses to infections, a stronger immune system overall, lower levels of inflammation, improved cognitive function, and better overall health. Because remember, physical and emotional health go hand in hand. When we reduce stress, we stop triggering off harmful chemicals in our bodies. Instead, our body starts to make healing chemicals, which put our body into a healing state. That's why contentment is so good for us. Okay, so we know contentment is good for our physical and mental health. What about relationships? Put simply, when we're content, we're far more pleasant to be around. We're not constantly seeking validation or projecting our insecurities onto others. Instead, we seek to genuinely connect with people, have meaningful interactions with them. And this leads to much richer relationships with our loved ones. So, of course, cultivating an inner state of contentment will have a positive impact on all our relationships. Finally, being content creates more freedom to pursue our dreams. Now, that may sound like a paradox, but being content can actually empower us to pursue our dreams with more determination and clarity. You see, when we're not bogged down by constant craving for more, beating up on ourselves for not being further ahead in the game of life, then we can channel our energy and resources into what truly matters to us. We can take inspired action that allows us to walk our own unique path, and in doing so, share our magic with the world. This is why I believe contentment deserves a place on our journey into self-love. Because being content is like giving ourselves permission to love ourselves, to love our life. You may be asking, how do we arrive at this magical state of contentment? Firstly, we need to stop thinking that there's something out there that will give us that contentment, and instead start to look inside for that sense of contentment. Yes, contentment begins with you. We don't get contentment by doing anything in particular. We get contentment by deciding to accept and be grateful for the life we have. This is a choice rather than an action, a choice to see the magic of life over the difficulties of life, a decision to focus on the things that really matter to us. What's important to understand here is that discontentment does not come from our current life circumstances. Discontentment is a state of mind. When we notice we're feeling discontented, we don't need to change anything physical. We need to change our perspective. We need to change how we see things, how we see our life, and how we see ourselves. Contentment arises naturally when we don't try and change or control others or ourselves, but instead come into a natural acceptance of what is. Okay, so let's look at 3 things that you can do this week to invite yourself into a more contented way of moving through life. Firstly, Contentment comes when we're in a loving state. And when we're in a loving state, we're able to listen to the guidance of our true self. The more we listen to our inner voice, the less room there is for the voice of the egoic mind that will do whatever it can to convince us that we can't be happy and content until we have more. In episode 3 and 4, I taught you a beautiful technique called the love wrap and how to use it to not only rise above that negative ego chatter, but how to listen to your true self. I recommend practicing this daily as it'll help you connect in with the natural contentment that lies within all of us. The more we feel contentment, the easier it is for us to tap into that feeling again and again and again. So practice that regularly to build your contentment muscle. And when the feelings of discontentment kick in, when the mind tries to steal you away from the present moment, it'll happen because we're human. Use the love wrap to bring you back, to help you reconnect with your loving center. For contentment is a byproduct of love. So when you feel true love within yourself, you feel a beautiful bouquet of qualities, from acceptance to joy to peace to contentment. That's why connecting to the love within through tuning into your heart and listening to your true self is a powerful way of accessing that feeling of contentment. The second way you can cultivate contentment is through simplifying your life. By this, I mean declutter your physical space and your schedule. Look at all the things you own and consider, do these things really add to my enjoyment of life in some way? And if not, donate them, sell them, give them to a friend. Clear out your space so you feel more spacious at home and have space to welcome in anything that would bring more joy into your home. Then go through your schedule and to-do list and be brutally honest with yourself. Ask, in each of these things that I'm investing my time in, is every single one of them really necessary for my enjoyment of life? If not, cancel them, mark them off, remove them from your calendar. Simplifying our life helps us appreciate the essentials and reduce the distractions that often lead to discontent. In a future episode, I'll share my minimalist approach to life and how getting rid of 2/3 of my belongings freed me up to travel to France. But for now, just start small, even with one corner of a room. Declutter it and see where that leads. Thirdly, and this is the biggie, practice gratitude. We can start practicing contentment right now by being grateful for what we have and who we are. This may feel hard or icky to begin with, but with a little perseverance, you'll find things, lots of things, to be grateful for. Such as, I'm grateful for this gorgeous sunset. I'm grateful to have the necessary resources to feed myself. I'm grateful to simply be alive. Practicing gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have. When we are grateful for what we have, we feel more content with what we have. That's why next week we'll go on a journey with gratitude and explore simple, effective ways to invite more gratitude into our lives. For gratitude, it not only helps us feel content, it helps us manifest. It helps create healing in the body and just feels really, really good. Hence why being grateful is a beautiful way to walk the road of self-love. The big take home today is that contentment starts here and now with you. Don't try and find contentment in your life circumstances, in your thoughts, your emotions, your idea of yourself or what life should look like. Remove the need for bigger, better, and more. And instead, invest your energy in valuing the often overlooked treasure of contentment. Before I go, I'll leave you with some questions to ponder. What is contentment for you? If you had contentment, what would it look like? What would it feel like? And how would you know whether you had arrived at destination C? Take this week to feel into it, journal on it, meditate on it, maybe share it with a friend. Yes, please share this episode with a friend and then compare notes. The more we talk about the mechanics of self-love, the more we get to experience self-love. Thanks for listening. And if you're loving what I'm sharing here on I Love Me, the podcast, and would like to dive deeper into self-love, take a peek at my online school, gettingnaked.com.au, where I teach you how to strip off the layers of childhood conditioning, stopping you falling in love with you. Sign up for your free self-love starters kit there. And if you do enroll in any of my programs, know that a percentage of profits go to planting trees, so together we can re-robe Mother Earth.
I love me.